I awoke in darkness, to the sound of laboured breathing and tentative scratching from the centre of the wall to the right side of the room. My eyes moved freely, and just within my peripheral I was able to make out the display of the digital clock at my bedside reading 3:02. I made an attempt to get up and investigate the source of the sounds which woke me, an effort which proved fruitless as my body strained against unseen bindings. With tremendous and exhaustive effort, I was able to raise my head from the pillow just enough to bring a larger portion of the wall into sight. The broad, sparsely decorated wall suggested the concealment of whatever was responsible for these increasingly troubling sounds. From the partial gaps in the curtains, the pale orange light of the street outside proved just enough for me to pick out small areas of this wall, areas which appeared to bulge and distend as though an unknown mass were pressing against it from the other side. The scratching had turned to longer, drawn-out scraping, and the breathing more audible and erratic. It was with this sight that panic began to rise up in my chest, and unexplained restraint within my own bed made the events to which I would bear witness all the more terrifying. The slim bands of streetlight cast across the wall revealed to me a human head straining through in just enough detail that I was able to make out the defining shape of an open mouth and the skull to which it belonged. Other facial features, or rather the suggestion of them, were missing entirely. The creature was loud now, seemingly invigorated by its progress into the room. With frantic breaths it pushed further through the wall, the pattern of the off-white wallpaper stretching taut across its body, a skin where there was none prior. With what sounded like a burst of white noise, an elongated hand pushed through the wall beside the creature's head, followed sluggishly by its opposite. Now braced against the wall, the hands were able to further the progress of the creature into the room, revealing a neck lacking in any observable musculature, and an equally frail chest. The wallpaper wrapped tightly to its form, betraying the skeletal structure and evidence of nutritional deficit. The creature ceased movement and lowered its head, the previous advance appearing to have taken its toll. Its breathing was shallow now, reduced to the careful rise and fall of the chest, which was partially impeded by the solid portions of the wall of which it was still restrained. After what seemed like minutes, it raised its head and began to survey the interior of the room, pausing in the direction of the pallid light piercing the curtains and turning its gaze to the bed, the sheets, then myself. Its observation of me brought new energy. Its breathing began to pick up pace significantly. An agitated motion of the head paired with its unbroken gaze suggested entry to the room was now a secondary goal. I was far more interesting. Its head whipped around furiously as it desperately attempted to free more of its body from inside the wall. The hands grew wrists, forearms, and entire limbs as the creature poured every ounce of effort into freeing itself. With the upper half of the body hanging free from the wall, it braced both hands and pushed forward, freeing itself up to the waist. Unable to support its weight now, it slumped forward, head touching the floor as the wall seemed to birth the remaining body, requiring no further effort. The frail, pallid being now out of my line of sight on the floor of the bedroom. Silence. I remained paralyzed, either by the same unseen restraints to which I awoke or in unbridled fear of what I had been forced to witness. Unable to see the creature now, and the wall bearing no signs of bringing that nightmarish thing into the room, I called out in desperation, but managed only a pathetic rasp of laboured breath, which was met in return by the same from beneath my bed.